Hello there. So around 11 days ago I posted a video on the Kickstarter 3 issue 5 board and some of the changes between the issue 5 and the issue 4 that shipped with KS2. I now have my issue 5 board cased in a spare case. I've done a speaker mod to it, and since I got the board I've been testing it and others have been testing it as well. And you know, as you do, you find issues, you work through them, they get fixed, a new core version is produced, a new firmware version is produced. We've had issues with certain brands of SD card, for example, now that we have two slots on the same interface. Transcend and Lexar were found to be problematic. That's now being resolved. Certain PS2 keyboards as well were quite slow to wake up. So that kind of thing's been addressed. So we really put them through their paces, trying to do everything we can think of in order to produce a fault. And if we do find a fault, great. Well, I don't know if it's great, but everything has been fixable. And of course, AB Core update necessitated a standby programmer just in case things went south, but they didn't. So it's been very positive in terms of the testing. Things are just working, and where things were problematic, just being fixed. So one of the testing aspects was around the extra signals on the expansion bus that I mentioned last time, which were to facilitate a floppy interface. So those 3 signals have been introduced, and of course we needed a floppy interface, and we just so happened to get some. Here's one here, and it's based, if this damn thing had focused, come on, focus. It's based on a design widely available on the internet, this Scotty 2022 interface. You have a couple of jumpers on there for disk select, and you have a jumper for ready, and yeah, it just plugs in. It's a 34 pin, so is suitable for 3.5 inch, but will also work on 3-inch drives as well. And that's really what I've been aiming at in my testing, was to get a 3-inch drive working. And the first thing you need for that is a 3-inch drive. And some months ago, I'm just trying to find it now. Oh, there it is. I went on eBay and I found a 3-inch drive from a PCW. I think it's an EME 156. And I got it. It had been refurbed according to the auction. And I got a 3D printed case, which is also a design that's freely available on the internet. And I think it looks pretty nice. Got a disc in there at the moment. Nothing exciting. I don't own any original games on 3-inch disc, and they are bloody expensive, I found out. So I have ordered one, which is going to arrive in a few days' time. But obviously I don't need a game to prove that the disc works. And so all we need is a power supply and a valid IDC cable. And for the power supply, an eBay job again. I got one that produces, I can't actually, the wire's all wrapped around it. It's basically just a block, as you would expect from a power supply. But it doesn't quite want to say hello. Just about there. It's just a regular block thing. And it has a mini DIN on this end, which is giving you 5 volts and 12 volts. And so I got a female mini DIN, and I just wired it up to a floppy power cable, your traditional power cable. And as I mentioned, it's 5 volts and 12 volts, but wasn't the way round that I expected it to be. Unfortunately, I did some homework to make sure that I had the 5 and the 12 volts in the right places. So now the colours are a bit messed up on it, because in this case the yellow cable is 5 volts and the red cable is 12 volts. And normally I'd rather have the red as 5 and the yellow as 12, but you know, Next time I do this, I might, you know, sort that out. The other thing with this interface is that it's blocking the HDMI port, and so I am going to be getting a slightly different one which doesn't block the HDMI port. So for the purposes of this exercise, I'm on VGA. So the other thing was the IDC cable, which I'm just trying to find now. What have I done with? The problem with having so many things out on your desk, and you just lose stuff. So that's that one. That's currently getting made. How can you see it? No. God damn. Wait a minute. Is that it? No. Is that it? Yeah, there it is. Put it in my drawer. So, what we have at this end, on the 34 pin end, which plugs into the interface itself, I have cut off the first 7 pins, pins 1 to 7. Pin 8 here, as you can see, is going down to pin 2. This is a 24 pin connector. And you can also probably notice, or not notice easily, that pin 1 is not connected. So we're starting at pin 2. So pin 8 on the 34 goes to pin 2 on the 26. And then every other pin, well actually I just need to account for this little bit in the middle. As you can see here, after pin 8, you've got pins 9 and 10, which have been cut. And that's an extra motor signal that is not needed. Okay, so we have pin 8, we skip 9 and 10, and then we continue with a one-to-one relationship between the 34 and the 26 pinner. So technically that works. So if I just plug in here, on the interface we can see the little dot there, which is denoting pin 1. So I'm going to line this little red line up with that. I know based on the spec of the interface that this is the position that the jumpers should be in. Spectrum next is of course switched off, and I'm going to try and plug it in blind. I might have to lift it up actually to see where I'm plugging it in, but no, that's fine. Okay, that is now plugged in, and then for the floppy drive itself, this goes, it's this way, I think. Okay, so that is plugged in, and now for my power supply. I'm trying to arrange all these things so you can actually see them. Let's bring that down here a bit. You're not going to see the power light there, but I'll show it to you. So yeah, I'm going to connect this to my power supply cable here, and then hook that up to the floppy drive. Okay, so now I have a floppy drive connected. Now, when I switch this on, assuming the OSSC fires up, if it doesn't, I'll have to just press a button on the remote control for it. Because when I'm using VGA, I tend to have to switch it manually to VGA, so let's just try that. There we go. So at the moment I need to choose the, say the +2A, +3 personality. And when I select this, it's going to come up as a +2A. Or it should come up as a +2A. Let me just switch to the bigger screen. So it's detected it as a +2A because the expansion bus isn't enabled and the extra signals for the floppy aren't enabled. And the only way to enable them at the moment is protracted out commands. And let me just get them up. So there's a whole series of out commands, and I know it's not ideal, but the hope is in future that this process will be streamlined, that you will be able to select an option and it will just, as it does for the interface too, to load cartridges, that it will just let you select something and take you straight to a +3 with the floppy enabled. Sorry, I'm typing this very slowly. The other thing is the hope that there will be a method to access floppy drives within the Next personality itself, which means that you wouldn't have to go through the process of doing all of this. And who knows what the potential might be for that. You know, might you be able to copy things from floppy to SD card and vice versa. So this is the second out command, assuming I've done it right because I'm not really paying attention. 9275,128 colon out. This works, I'll be surprised because I've really, oh, that's not right. Out 9531,8. Oh, 8, 8, 8. Okay, that should be it if I've done it right. So a quick reset. Now floppy is being accessed and you can see now it says +3. So that's because it's detected that there's a floppy drive and it thinks it's a +3. You also see on here that there's a light on. And I can now go to +3 basic and do a cat. This may be the blank side. Yeah, no files found. Let me just bring it over. Cat. And there we go. We are reading the floppy drive. I can type in a quick, cool, basic program. Yeah, the old chestnuts. And I have to look up the saving method because it's save quote a colon test. That's that, I think, isn't it? So I'll save this program to floppy. If I do a cat now, test. So as I mentioned, I don't have any original games for it, so I can't just use the +3 loader because I've got no floppies at the moment with stuff on that you can just load like that. But that's basically floppy disk drives on the Spectrum Next, which is fab and something I never thought I'd do. I never owned a +3 back in the day. I couldn't stretch to anything like a floppy drive, I couldn't afford a micro drive, but it's just another piece of the puzzle for me, getting this working. And, you know, if people want floppy drives, then, you know, hopefully we can get more of these interfaces made. As I say, the designs are available, there's a number of people who can make them, and if there's sufficient demand, then yeah, they can be made. You could also theoretically connect multiple floppy drives as well. Potentially have a 3.5 and a 3 inch, you know, if you wanted to copy files and such between the 3 and the 3.5 inch. So initially we may well get a shortcut that will allow you to use the floppy drive on a +3 personality without having to go through all of the out commands. That would be great. That's like the first step. And then subsequently we would love to be able to access floppy drives in the Next ZXOS environment itself. In addition to things like micro drives as well, we want to be able to copy from SD card to micro drive and vice versa and all that kind of thing. So hopefully that will come in time. I'm just going to revert this back now to the Spectrum Next personality because I think that's everything I was going to show from the floppy disk side of things. You just go back to Nextiness. I actually want to switch off the internal speaker. Okay. Now, one of the other very important tests that makes up the Kickstarter 3 is just testing software generally. And of course, the most important aspect to software testing is proving that Invasion of the Cloud People works. So, I did kind of mention it to TJ, and I'm going to show you some of his amusing video where he tries to pronounce my name badly. Okay, so I'm going to give this the finger. Let's make sure it boots into the right personal because I don't think I just saved my settings there, did I? Like an idiot. Oh yeah, okay. Speakers off. Read me first. Yep. Very nice menu that TJ's done here. And here we get the SOS video. I'll just play you a few seconds of that. And you can see him taking the piss. So, yeah.
Captain Mike Wall. Captain Mike Wall. Son of a... Captain Tad, this is TJ from Cellular Store.
TJ,
Please come in.
Let me just fire up my 8-bit dough. And I can't remember how to play this. Apart from hit G to start game. I could view the story and manual, but TJ never reads the instructions, so why should I? I think you've got to collect blue things and avoid red things, and I don't know, are the red things bad? You've got to collect raindrops, I think, haven't you? So, and I'm playing this with an 8-bit dough this time because last time I played it on keyboard, I don't believe there were diagonals. I don't think you could do diagonals on the keyboard, so this kind of makes things easier. So I think as part of the KS3 testing, we can safely say that Invasion of the Cloud People works, floppy drives work, and those are probably the two most important tests. So yeah, what I'll probably have, I'll have another video in a few days hopefully demonstrating a new piece of hardware. So look out for that, and cheers.